Merry Christmas, YouTube fans and mixed martial arts fans. This is Slugfest Wizard, about to give you my predictions and my preview for UFC 140, Johnny Bones Jones versus Lyoto the Dragon Machida. Let's talk about this. Okay, set in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, at the Air Canada Centre. The UFC has got one hell of a great card tonight, and I think this is one of their last events that will take place, in which the pay-per-view stream will begin at 9 p.m. I think they're going to go back to the regular 10 o'clock slot because pay-per-view revenue hasn't been that great this year, unfortunately, for Zuffa and everyone else. But let's jump on into the main event. UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Jones will make his second title defense this year against former champ Lyoto the Dragon Machida, and this is one hell of a matchup. Things have been moving really fast for Jon Jones, and he has been really taking the world of mixed martial arts by storm. And, at the start of this year, it just seems like yesterday, he was fighting Ryan Bader at UFC 126, and he beat him, choked him out, got the fight with Shogun. I thought he was going to lose that. He dominated Shogun, beat him up over 3 rounds, finished him in the 3rd round, got the belt, and then choked out Rampage to defend it. So he really is establishing himself as that guy, as the best 205-pound fighter in the world. It seems like he really has the division on lockdown. And now he'll be taking on what I believe will be his toughest challenge to date in Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida, one of my favorite fighters. Both of these guys I'm a fan of. Coming off of that Karate Kid-style crane kick knockout of Randy Couture at UFC 129. Beautiful technique right there. But the reality is that Lyoto is 1-2 in his last 3 appearances, and some people are saying that why is he getting a title shot right now? He doesn't deserve it, and normally I would agree, but really, based on name value and who is ready at this time and who would make for an intriguing matchup for Jon Jones, Lyoto Machida, they're doing with him kind of like what they did with Dan Henderson versus Anderson Silva, or Silva versus Henderson, in which Dan Henderson didn't earn the title shot. They just needed someone to step up, come into the main event, and challenge the champ who had been running through people, and that's what Jon Jones is doing. And Lyoto Machida has a lot of ways to win this. He does, or at least it seems like that. Certainly he can stick and move and outpoint Jon Jones to a unanimous decision. Lyoto likes to step back, move to the left. Step back, move to the left. Counter with that straight, quick, that lightning fast left hand that he uses, or a flying knee to the body. He still hits very hard. Has the only win over Jon Jones's. He's the only guy to hold a win over Jon Jones's former friend and training partner Rashad Evans. And Lyoto Machida, he has very good takedown defense, and that will play a huge factor in here, because what does Jon Jones need to do to beat you? In addition to his really long reach and his dynamic, powerful striking, he has got great takedowns. Lyoto Machida has better takedowns than Shogun and Rampage, and I think for as long as he can keep this fight on its feet, in theory. And but what I see happening in this fight, Lyoto Machida might take a round from Jon Jones, but in the end, I'm going to pick Jon Jones to defend his UFC light heavyweight title against the Japanese Brazilian, and to be the first fighter in like 6 years to have successfully defended the UFC light heavyweight belt on more than one occasion. But if Lyoto Machida were to walk away the winner in this fight, I wouldn't be too upset about that either, because like I said, I'm a fan of both of these guys, and chances are this fight is going to be kind of tough for me to watch, because I want to see both these guys win, but on the other hand, there's got to be a loser here. So that's how it goes. I see Jon Jones. The first round I see him leg kicking Lyoto Machida to death nearly. Like, I see him leg kicks all day long, first round. Second round, body shots and takedowns. Third round, I see him going in for the kill, and I've got John Jones finishing off Machida by way of knockout in late round 3 or early round 4. Probably due to him catching Lyoto as he's moving to the left with like a kick or something, and then finishing him off with elbows. And that will also mean that, unfortunately, the Dragon will be 1-3 in his last 4 appearances. But that's the MMA. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Next fight, co-main event. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira versus Frank Mir. Yeah, at UFC 92, they had their first fight. Mir was the first guy to finish him with strikes in the second round, dropped him three times in the first. Nogueira, legend of MMA, he's had so much experience. He's been looking shaky as of late, but I feel bad saying that because he really surprised me with his first round knockout of Brendan Schaub in Brazil, a fight in which a lot of people counted him out. And here's the thing. I feel bad once again counting Nogueira out because I'm going to pick Frank Mir to beat him by maybe third round TKO this time. But yeah, Frank Mir coming off of the uninspired win over Mirko Cro Cop, and he's also coming off of a unanimous decision victory over Roy Nelson. And that was, I hadn't quite realized this at the time, but Frank Mir's victory over Roy Nelson was the first time in a while that Frank Mir had been to a unanimous decision. The last time he went to a decision was at UFC 61 over Dan Christensen, and I've never seen that fight. That was at Ortiz versus Shamrock 2, actually, and Sylvia versus Arlovsky 3, I'm guessing. Okay, let me see, hold on. Yeah, 3. Nogueira, I think, is better on the ground by a little bit, but he still doesn't. Nogueira still gets hit a lot, and that's what I see happening in this fight. Frank Mir is the better striker today. Nogueira might have a little bit crisper boxing, but Frank Mir mixes things up. His strikes are very down the pipe. They're straight and they're powerful. And I really hope Nogueira wins. I hope he surprises a lot of people. But I see Frank Mir picking up the victory in third round, or it could be second round again. But that's how it goes. Next fight, Tito Ortiz versus Rogerio Nogueira. This is probably the toughest fight to pick because part of me, in what could be Tito Ortiz's last fight for like the 5 millionth time. I mean, how many times has it been Tito Ortiz's last fight? We all thought it was against Ryan Bader, choked out Ryan Bader. He fought Rashad Evans. I picked him to lose that one and he lost it, but he put up a decent fight in there, Tried the guillotine choke on Rashad Evans, but that didn't work. And now he's fighting Rodrigo Nogueira's younger brother. Let's see. And part of me wants to pick Tito because Rogerio Nogueira hasn't looked great as of recently. He had the loss to Ryan Bader, the loss to Phil Davis. In both of those fights, he looked very flat, his takedown defense, it looked okay, and his striking didn't look like it was anything special. He looked very lackluster, very average. But again, I hope he wins this fight. So, well, actually, no. Let me change that. Yeah, he hasn't had a win since he beat Louise Kane back at UFC 106, and which feels like that was November of 2009, and that feels like that was ages ago. So, what I predict happening actually, if Tito Ortiz wins this fight by unanimous decision or split decision, I won't be too surprised about that. He's still the better wrestler. He's probably going to be the stronger fighter, and he may retire if he wins this fight. But I'm going to pick Rogerio Nogueira, surprisingly, to go in there and stuff enough of Tito Ortiz's takedowns in the second round and the third round and to score points using his boxing. And he's got better head movement than Rodrigo Nogueira, I think. But I've got Rogerio Nogueira doing that en route to taking a split decision in somewhat of a close fight. Next, Claude Patrick versus Brian Ebersol. I was looking forward to Rory McDonald versus Brian Ebersol because Rory McDonald has really been looking like he maybe could be a champ one day because He's doing some big things. But Claude Patrick versus Brian Ebersol is looking good also. I've put a lot of faith in Claude Patrick. Let's see. I've picked him every time. And I picked Brian Ebersol to lose to Chris Lytle. He showed up and got that win. But these are two intriguing veterans that are doing lots of winning. Let's see. In his second fight, Claude Patrick lost a unanimous decision to Drew McFedries at Battle for the Belts in 2002. June of 2002, okay. And after that, he went on a 13-fight winning streak. He has defeated Ricardo Funch by guillotine choke, and James Wilkes and Daniel Roberts. His fight against Daniel Roberts, he showed really good striking, fine conditioning. He doesn't slow down that much. He's patient, maybe a little bit too patient for the casual fan to enjoy, but he's got really good submissions, especially the guillotine choke, obviously. And he's got great submission awareness too, and I think that's what will really set this apart. I think this fight will mostly be on the ground. Patrick, I think, has better takedowns. Brian Ebersol might be a bit more of the creative striker. He likes to throw those cartwheel kicks, which aren't very effective. And he's got good ground and pound too, but he has not yet fought a guy with the jiu-jitsu background of Claude Patrick. And Brian Ebersol, with his eccentric kind of wacky personality, he could get some fans, and I see him putting up a good fight. But and I think Brian Ebersol is the underdog. No, is the favorite in here. But I'm gonna go with the underdog. I'm gonna pick Claude Patrick to defeat Brian Ebersol by unanimous decision, also in a close fight. If Claude Patrick doesn't do that, it means that Brian Ebersol found a way to submit him or to outstrike him. And the final fight on the main card: Mark Hominick versus Chan Sung Young. Mark Hominick, fellow Canadian, he got a lot of respect from me and from his showing full of heart that he put up against the featherweight champion Jose Aldo at St. Pierre versus Shields. You know, in which he didn't slow down. He kept on going. He kept on trying to win. Got that massive, baseball-like hematoma sticking out of his head. But in this fight, he'll be taking on Chan Sung Young, a guy who, he had his Fight of the Year candidate with Leonard Garcia, in which, that was when I first found out about who he was. I heard that fight was so great, and he looked amazing in there. And what Chan Sung Young is about, Young is unfortunately, he's kind of a not very technical brawler, kind of like Chris Lieben. He doesn't have that great of a chin. His striking is kind of rudimentary, but and he comes forward a lot. He walks into punches, and he still gets hit a lot. And so he lost to Masanori Kanehara. He defeated Matt Yagers by submission triangle choke. He lost to Leonard Garcia in that big fight. I thought he had won that one. I really do. And due to his quick combinations, and then he got his head nearly kicked off by George Roop. That was a surprise. But then he finished Leonard Garcia in his rematch with that amazing twister. That was cool. I'd never seen that before. But Mark Hominick is the much better striker. He has the much tougher chin. He's better off of his back, I think, and I think that will pay dividends in this fight for Chan Sung Young. Mark Hominick has also the much better puncher. He's got very nice looking Western boxing style strikes, and I see him finishing Chan Sung Young in the second round by either TKO or submission due to a triangle choke or an armbar. There we go. Good luck, Mark Hominick. Get that win for Canada. Next fight I'm going to go through pretty quick. We've got 14 minutes here. Yeah. I've got Krzysztof Sozinski defeating Igor Pokraik, although I hope Pokraik wins. I'm going to pick Jared Hammond to defeat Konstantinos Philippou. Dennis Hallman could defeat John McDessie, but I'm going to pick John McDessie to defeat him by first round TKO or take a unanimous decision. I'm going to pick Yves Yabun to defeat Weil Watson. And I'm going to go with the underdog, Nick Lentz, to defeat Mark Bocek. And hopefully Nick Lentz starts to get some love from the UFC brass. I'm going to pick Rich Antonito to defeat Jake Hetch. And Mitch Clark to defeat John clueless. There we go, UFC 140, Jones versus Machida. It's going to be a pretty great card, at least. Hopefully it will be. It's tonight. Don't miss it. Next up, we've got Brock Lesnar versus Alistair Overeem, and it looks like that Lesnar's going to be fighting after all. So, all I can say for that one, I don't think Lesnar has a chance against Overeem. There you go. So, keep it real, guys. Peace out.